And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, welcome back, everyone. It is unbelievable for you to realize what we go through to put on this podcast, but we have traveled around the world to come back and to talk about the fights that took place, the UFC tonight, Bellator on Friday night, and we do it because we love you. Right, Josh?
Love is such a strong word. I have commitment issues. Oh, man. Yeah, we just, the long travel, long flights, long night last night, you know, we had a great show. Bellator was, I thought it was a good show. There was, you know, some mishaps throughout the show, but the crowd was absolutely amazing. Anytime you go, anytime you have a show, whether it's in Ireland or it's in the UK, like in the UK area there.
The UK, like the UK? Are you saying like the UK or just
like in
the
London,
UK?
London versus Dublin. Like
London versus
put
Manchester versus
London was
Birmingham.
London was versus Birmingham was not even a contest. Like London versus Dublin, those crowds, like London came and said, hey, you know what? I heard Dublin had the best crowd. We were talking about Dublin having the best crowd, but guess what? London put on a damn show on Friday night. It was insane. They came through. It was an absolute amazing crowd. They were awesome. People there, it's absolutely amazing. Huge fans of the sport, huge fans of our podcast as well. As we found out everywhere we walked. It was
How
great.
many people were screaming, and still?
And still, we're walking by Wembley Stadium. People are yelling from all the way down the halls. Big John, Josh, and still, baby. And I was just laughing. I'm cracking up. It was pretty cool, man. We had a blast. Absolutely amazing people there. So I can't wait to go back. I've always loved going there. The venue is absolutely amazing as well. So hotel is amazing. And people there, everyone there it's fun. It's fun to go. So, but hey, let's not beat around the bush. But before we all talk about this, go to hit the subscribe button though on our channel, as well as go to the link on our main channel. Hit the little link down below. That'll take you to our clips channel. Hit the subscribe button on that as well, because we do a couple little things there separate from this main channel. So check those out. There's little fun things that we like to do for our fans. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. We do the Wayne Interjection show that goes there. And then a lot of our new stuff, which Podcast Dave is, I got to give him a little bit of credit because he was doing something finally for once in the however long we've been working together. But he came up with a great idea. So we're going to start doing that 1 hour long Q&A, hopefully once a week, where we talk to you guys just strictly about Q&A. And that'll only be pretty much.
Have you talked to my management about this?
Yeah, she already approved it. She's already approved. Miss McCarthy came through already. Oh, geez. Damn it. But no, so yeah, so we're going to work on doing that as well and getting that out for you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Hit that subscribe button on the Clips channel. All right, let's get right into the UFC. Let's talk about the fights that you thought were going to be good, the fights that didn't live up to it, and the overall card itself.
Well, let's just go with a huge knockout. And I'm going to admit, there were certain fights that I missed because as you're flying over the Atlantic, reception's not great.
Yeah,
just telling
you. The Wi-Fi on the plane doesn't work like it says it does.
No, it does not. So there was times that I saw the whole fight. There was times I saw 2 minutes of that entire fight. So
yeah.
But I will say, man, Silva de Andrade, oh man, he comes out and I'm watching him and he's really stiff and he's just like all tense and tight and you're going, dude, you got to relax. You got to flow. And I'm thinking, wow, this is not going to go that good for him because his opponent coming out of Germany, Perello, he looks really calm, relaxed stuff, but all it took was one, Josh. He came in, he got hit, he was going backwards, he got put out as soon as he, hammer fist on the ground, boom, out. Next one brings him back, but man, you look at a guy, I don't know, and I don't want to put anything out there. I'm not saying it. The dude's got like 0% body fat. He's got so much muscle on his frame, it's incredible. You saw the testing this guy? I'm just being honest, man. I mean, incredible the way he looked. And so again, I'm joking about that whole part of it, but man, he looked like a piece of steel.
Yeah, we have guys like Julius Anglickas, the guy who's fighting Nemkov coming up in the Bellator World Grand Prix. he's built like that too. Like you can see the striations in his back and like his shoulders and his forearms, and it's like, holy shit! Like, do you have any muscle?
Yep.
Like it's not just growing muscle on muscle. So, no, I understand what you're saying. It's funny because the guys that come out super stiff, really hard, generally don't get the knockouts.
No,
because they're so stiff.
And I was looking, I'm going, man, you got to relax. But
Yeah,
I was wrong. Definitely wrong.
Hey.
He fucking waylaid him, man.
some people just have power. It just there's nothing you can do about it. It doesn't where it comes from, and the reason why most of the punches when you hear fighters, especially a lot of the top level fighters in the world, talk about, man, it felt like I didn't even hit him. It's because you didn't load up, because you weren't tense, because you just threw it relaxation, and the other person didn't see it coming because you threw it so relaxed. It just something like, oh, your body turned, it flowed, and it just caught them off guard. They didn't see it coming. When you're tense, you tend to load up. You tend to like bite your teeth. You tend to make the face before. Yeah, you tend to make that face, like that gritty face right before you throw, like, ah, and you hear people yell too sometimes, ah, ah, and that kind of gives the telltale sign that you're about to throw something. And so I know people that yell too and don't throw anything, by the way. So just so people caught on to that.
I'm just going to,
and then they'd like throw the little jab that doesn't even go anywhere. It's just like the little rangefinder.
Come on, man.
But yeah,
be honest. When you're in the back, sometimes and you've got like just the curtains and stuff between different camps and stuff. We used to do that all the time and take the mitts, and instead of have them kick the mitts, we would just hit the mitts together. Pop, 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 pop. Right? It's super loud. It sounds like they really go, that up, baby. That's some power. And the guys right next to going like, fuck, is that dude hitting that hard?
Hey, that reminds me, without telling too much of the joke, that reminds me of Brennan Schaub's like skit. He tells a story about how he was in the other locker room when he fought Matt Brown.
No, he didn't fight Matt
Travis
Brown.
Travis Brown.
Okay.
And he's like, I can hear him kicking the pads through the wall. He's like, oh, fuck. This is not
this is
good.
Gonna hurt.
It's like, good. It's like, fuck. He's like, oh, fuck, man. What I get myself into? Oh, yeah. I don't know. That's fun. That's funny, though. I can see that, especially in the lower level shows where there's just that curtain.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you have, the air mitts, because a lot of them have the small little curved ones that you can't really do it too well. But when you get the ones that have the air mitts and they're real flat, man, they make a hell of a popping sound.
That's so funny.
It was awesome.
All
right, so Jamie Mullarkey out of Australia, New Zealand. I mean, came out. Devontae Smith. This is one of those fights I really enjoy because this is a mentality fight. Devontae Smith, faster fighter. He's got power. He's doing well. He's putting good shots on Mullarkey to the point he's hurting Mullarkey in some of these, and Mullarkey, makes it through. But Mullarkey is just the guy that I will take yours for you to have to take mine, and just ends up when he got to the point of being inside, he got nasty, he got mean, he's grabbing and throwing knees hard, everything he threw, the elbows, the knees. I'm starting to hit my own mic just thinking about him and the way he did it. I love the mentality that he had in the fight because look, he's not the better athlete. He's not technically better. He's not faster. He's just meaner, and he is effective. And he knows, hey, I've got to take shots to give him, and he's willing to take them. And that was the difference of that fight. And he put him out in that second round. He did a hell of a job in that fight, getting through the first round and then just stepping it up and just putting a whooping on Devontae Smith. And Devontae's good. And it's no disrespect. It was just mentally he ran into a tougher guy.
Yeah, you're gonna find that you've talked about guys that are just dirty in the cage, not dirty in terms of like how they fight, but dirty, nasty, like in there. They're just mean sons of bitches when they get in there. And Carlos Condit being one of them.
Yep.
And he wasn't the most talented. He wasn't the best grappler. Don't get me wrong, his grappling was phenomenal. He wasn't the best grappler. He wasn't the best striker. Didn't have the most power, but he was just nasty in there. He was like, I'm gonna get you. Like he was just
dirty mean
in there, right? And then the other guy that I think of that comes to mind, definitely was never the best athlete, was John Fitch. Someone who's just relentless at whatever he did. When he got on top of you, though, it was just that never stop. Especially before he fought GSP, He had a lot of finishes. People don't give him credit because they were boring finishes, because the way he did it, he took you down, ground and pounded you out, and then he got to the submission, or he just finished the ground and pound until the ref stopped it. But I want to say he had 6 to 7 finishes in that 9 or 10 fight run of winning. Then he fought GSP, and then a lot of his fights after that went the distance or he lost. And they were like very slow and methodical in terms of just no ground and pound, no tenacity anymore. But that whole thing is that's exactly what you're talking about. Your athleticism and your athleticism only gets you, and your talent only gets you so far. You need that extra little gear to get you the rest of the way. That mentality of like, I can't be beaten. And then he seems like he possesses that.
Yep, he does. Or you're going to have to kill me to beat me. That's really what he's saying. You can beat me.
Let's not get too far into the killing.
I loved what he did as far as the fight that he put on, man. It's impressive to watch a guy like that because there's just a determination in his mindset and what he's doing, and I loved it. It was a great performance. Pechkohea retired. I'm going to miss Betch.
Yeah, she trained with us at AKA for a while. She has pretty heavy hands. She doesn't fight she never fought the smartest fights. But and she didn't train the smartest either. We tried to work with her like several times in terms of like slowing her down. But she loved to fight, and this is what happens. When you get a fighter that loves to fight, you hit me, I want to hit you back. She was more of that, a little bit of that throwback fighter of like, I'm going to get you if you get me. And don't get me wrong, a lot of fighters have that still to this day, but they're smarter about it. She still had that throwback of that almost like that Mark Coleman, Don Fry type personality of like, you hit me, I'm going to hit you back, and I'm going to grab you by the head and just going to exchange until someone goes.
Takayama, baby.
Yes. So that type of style. That was more of a lot of her mentality of when she fought, and she kind of trained that way a little bit as well. She was always eager to learn, but as she got hit, it all went out the door. We've seen that with a lot of top level fighters, and I talked about one the other day with Leonard Garcia. It was the same way. Sure, you have technique, but guess what? You hit me, I'm going to hit you back. You know what I mean? Yeah. So one of those things. But she announced her retirement, and it's been great to watch her fight, man. And I actually had, like I said, I had a chance to train with her for years. She was at AKA. And she trained with the AKA kickboxing team as well when she was there. I think I was there only on Tuesday, Thursday nights, but she was there mainly almost every night. So they enjoyed working with her, and they all said the same thing. She hits hard. She's got a lot of aggression. She comes at you forward and stuff. So they loved working with her as well. So it's going to be sad to see her go, but everything comes to an end. That's really what it comes to.
Yeah, it does. I have a great story with Betch because I did her fight when she lost to Ronda Rousey. But the first fight I ever did of hers was against Shayna Baszler. Shayna, who's doing great with the WWE and everything now and stuff. But I think it was, I want to say it was like UFC 177. It was Dillashaw was supposed to fight Bahau again, but he ended up fighting Joe Soto because Bahau knocked himself out in the bathroom falling out of the tub. Mm-hmm. It was in Sacramento, exactly. And so she fights Shayna Baszler and puts it on Baszler and ends up stopping her. And she, I'm raising her hand, and when I raise her hand, she starts doing this twerking thing, right? and I actually had someone ask me on Twitter, what were you thinking? It's like, what was I thinking? I can't even remember. But I do know that, I have a penchant. It's like it's just a natural thing. It came from football and everything, of you smack, someone does a good job, and you hit them on the ass, right? Yeah, sure enough, baby. So if you go back to that, you'll see me raise her hand, right? And she just continued to do, and I just turned, and boom, and I smacked her on the butt, right? And I was like, oops, I was supposed to do that. It was, it was just like I was doing it to a guy, And I walked out of the cage, and the damn commissioner was, did you just smack her on the ass? I think I did. I think I did. I said it wasn't thought of. It wasn't on purpose. I was like, hey, good job, man. And that's what I was doing. Oh yeah. I smacked her around on the ass. She didn't mind at all. She didn't mind at all. She told me later, because I said, hey, I went to apologize. Hey, I want to apologize. I didn't. She goes, not at all. I was having fun.
Oh man.
So
It was one of those oh fuck moments, huh, for you?
Oh yeah. Oh dude,
Yeah.
and then all the guys, trust me,
No.
all the guys, all the other officials, the judges, the referee, Dean Beltran, they're all like, "You fucking patted her on the ass," and they just would not let it die. And I was like,
yeah.
"Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Damn.
I'm a dumbass."
She's a great person though.
She
got great
She's a
energy in the
sweetheart.
gym. It was always fun to train with, and she hits pretty hard. What else? Back to the card.
Back to the card. Look at Casey O'Neill. Looked really good. She crushed Shevchenko in that second round, man. When she got on top of her, she just all the ground and pound. A lot of it was not real heavy at times, but man, then she would kind of settle it down and she just landed a ton of volume to the point where you can see Shevchenko is turning in ways. Yeah, I feel bad for Shevchenko because she got that name. It's almost it's almost like the Douglas Lima versus Diego Lima thing. You've got that brother or sister who is sitting at that top level, man, and everyone's expecting you to perform right at that same level. That's a rough one.
It's a tough task. It's a tough task, regardless, though, to just be good in general, than to have something like that follow suit. But it's still, I don't think this is the difference, though. One's gonna have a different. They have different lives.
Yeah.
One is probably just more focused on being the champ and being, and the other one has maybe other. I'm not saying there is, but I'm saying what their outside stuff.
Might have interest going in other directions.
The other interest might be going the other direction. That's really what it comes down to. Sometimes there's business ventures that this one's doing, and this one's like, no, I'm just a fighter. No, I'm just going to be this. And just because they have the same last name doesn't mean that they think the same. Doesn't mean that they train the same. Doesn't mean that they put the work in the same. So
doesn't mean they have the same athletic ability.
No.
Yeah,
All right,
but I do feel bad for it. But Casey O'Neill, you look fantastic. That's the way to finish a fight. Great job with your ground and pound and stuff. So that was fun to watch. Jared Gordon versus Joe Solicki. I had it even going into the third round. What did you believe that they got the right guy in that split?
Yeah, I did. I actually did. I thought Solicki looked good coming into the third, but then he started to wilt towards the end, and I thought Gordon was actually just able to kind of do whatever he wanted in terms of stuffing the takedowns or not allowing the takedowns, kind of landing a little bit more of the cleaner shots. I mean, look, when you get fights that are like that are close like that, and they're splits, you just gotta let them be. Don't bother with it. Just let it all. I don't want to have arguments over things like that because we're gonna get into an argument about Bellator main event, and we'll talk about that as well. But this is like kind of one of those fights where when the judges come back with a split, you're like, okay, I get it. It's very much. I almost thought I would have thought that the main event of this UFC card could have been a potential split as well. So,
I thought it was the right call in the end. I thought Jared Gordon actually got the best of him in the third round, so I was happy with it. Alexander Hernandez decided I'm not going to allow the judges to. He just blasted Mike Breeden, man. I mean, this is what happens when you piss someone off for coming in overweight. Breeden came in overweight. Hernandez says, "I'll make you pay," but we made him pay. Ooh,
I have a. Look, he is on a roller coaster. He's good. Let's not forget, he beat Dariush.
Yeah.
I think he knocked him out. And I'm thinking to myself, fuck, man. Like, then I think, did he lose to Cowboy after that?
He lost to Cowboy, yeah.
Lost to Cowboy after that.
Cowboy kind of put it on him.
And Cowboy put it on him, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Cowboy put it on him, and then he beat Trinaldo, and then he lost to Dober. It's TKO. I remember that fight. And then he lost to Thiago Moises, and then he just beat Breeden. Yeah, but he's like on that roller coaster. He's just got to find a path and just keep having success. Because right now, he just seems like I know he's still young. What is he? I want to say he's only like 28 or something. 20.
I think he's 29 from what I saw.
29.
29.
Yeah, he's 29. I mean, this is his prime, so he needs to figure it out. He needs to try to be as busy as he possibly can so he can get onto a run. But I think he's got potential. He's got a ton of potential. I just don't know if he fights smart. From what I saw tonight, he had some good exchanges. When didn't he
change camps? I think he changed camps, I want to say a couple fights ago.
Okay.
Currently,
But I mean,
Shadow
what
Dog-
I'm saying,
Sorry.
Factory.
What's that?
X.
Currently, Shadow Dog has him out of San Antonio, Texas. With
He's in Denver.
Oh, he's in Denver now. Is he at not Kyrian?
I want to say he's at Elevation, isn't he?
Elevation.
I think.
What's his name? The coach. Fuck. I keep thinking
Well,
Kyrian from.
You're
CSA.
thinking Trevor?
Trevor Whitman. Yeah. Two good kickboxing coaches. I have Kyrian Fitzsimmons.
Fitzgibbons.
Yeah, up in CSA, and then I've got Trevor Whitman in Elevation. There in
Wikipedia
Denver.
still has him at San Antonio as well.
You
Interesting.
can always believe Wikipedia. That way I have two
Yeah.
birthdays, December 17th, I think. I love him.
And there's a space between his name.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. That really fucks me up, too.
Fucking it.
Bitches.
Oh shit. But yeah, like I said, he's good. He has power in his hands. I think he has the potential to make a good run coming up to the title. I think he needs to learn how to fight a little bit smarter. He's good when he's the bully. Like he's good when he's the hammer.
Very good when he's the hammer.
When he's the nail.
He'll take shots.
Yeah.
As the nail, and he'll take shots, but it affects him and it affects his output, and then things start to go downhill from there for him and stuff. And that was the big difference of his fight. If you go back to the Cowboy Cerrone fight, Cowboy bullied him. Said, "Oh, you want to see what it's like to have someone bully you? Here you go." And he really started stepping it up after the first round and just started putting on him. You go, yeah, you got to learn that. You got to learn how to deal with those types of situations.
I look at the way he's built and the way he fights. It's a lot of strength, a lot of explosiveness. And so as he goes on, he tends to rely on his strength and his explosiveness. And when you have someone who has the proper technique is where I think he's going to end up being wilted. Like when you watch his fight with Moises, and then you watch some of the other past fights against fighters that have good technique, he's going to have a hard time because he relies on like that being the bully of me being able to shove your face to the ground or hit you with big shots and push your back to the fence, and those exchanges. If he can't do that, he has a hard time versus when you have really good technique, whether it's chaining the punching to the takedowns or the takedown back up to the punches or whatever it is, or hitting the ground and keeping the position and passing guard, that you don't need to rely so much on the strength as much as you rely on the technique.
Yeah.
And so I get a little nervous with him in terms of I think he's got talent.
He's got talent.
He's
There's
got
no
talent.
doubt.
But when
He's
you
got
get to the
talent.
next camp, though, at this new camp, we're going to see how much he grows in the next year and a half, I think in the process. So that'll be good.
But this is a big win for him. Gets him back in the right track. So we'll see where he goes from there. The next fight, I really like Krzysztof Jotko. I think he's a tough, hard-nosed guy. I've known Misha Cirkunov for a long time, but this is one of those fights that I look and I go, you went down to middleweight. From being a light heavyweight, Misha's a big guy. He went to middleweight, and he lost this fight. Why? He got tired. And it's not that he's not in shape. He's in shape.
Yeah.
He just lost a lot of weight, and the energy wasn't there, when he needed it, especially in that third round. You could see he was exhausted. And, the fact that he was getting taken down by Krzysztof is like, no, that just means you're tired.
Mm-hmm.
The energy's gone, because one of the things I will tell you about Misha is super strong, super explosive guy. This is a guy, if you remember, I'm trying to remember who he fought. He face cranked him and broke and dislocated his jaw off of it. That's the kind of strength that he has. I'm trying to think of what was that guy. Alex Nicholson was the one. And he's super strong. But he had no energy. Too much weight lost. I really think that was the difference.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I agree. I agree with you. I think the weight cut, you need to get time to get your weight down. I don't know when was the last time he fought, Dave?
2000 this year, March.
Oh, March. Was that at 185 also? Ryan Spann?
No, Ryan Spann's a light heavyweight.
Yeah, light heavyweight. So I mean, that's not a lot of time to really get your weight down the proper way to 185. It depending, if you said if he's a big guy.
Yep.
So I don't know. When you start getting into these conversations of guys cutting weight, we've seen over the years. Some guys, they can cut the weight and look good. Max Holloway. Some guys, they don't want to cut the weight, and they go up and they look fucking way better than they looked at the weight when they were cutting the weight.
That's
George
true.
Masvidal, so it depends. I mean, maybe let him give another fight and settle in at 185. But here's the thing. When you start doing this with the weight classes, and the UFC gives you that chance to go down, and you lose there too, they're like, hey, you can't win in either weight class. So what do I need you for? So if that cut of the weight is like after you've lost 2 or 3 in a row, you know what I mean? Like, don't go making that cut until you really, really need to, and then spend time doing it the proper way. If you just fought this year and then now you're fighting again and then you drop 15 extra pounds.
20 extra pounds.
20. I see my math. There you go again.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's just not, it's not good. Not good.
That would be like a guy going from lightweight to bantamweight. That's a huge cut. Crazy.
Yeah, it's too much. All right. So Nico Price and Oliveira.
Good fight. Was a couple in a couple ways. The third round was the way I thought it was going to be. They were really starting to set their feet and bomb on him, but it was close. I thought they picked the right guy. I thought Nico Price did a little bit more in damage.
Did he steal it in the last 15 seconds with that takedown? A little bit of the punches.
I think it was the clear way for a judge to go, I'm going in this direction, because you can say, well, they were fairly close to being even on the feet. They both landed heavy strikes at times. They both kind of wobbled a little bit. But in the end, when that takedown, and I really thought Oliveira was the one that was going to end up getting it, didn't work out for him. Then, he crosses the arm, he lands some clean shots. There's your difference maker in the round.
Yeah, I thought also the difference maker in that third round was that Oliveira looked like he was tired.
Oh, he
kept
exhausted.
putting his back foot and his back to the fence.
Yep.
And that's just a bad look. I go back and I look at some of the fights where, like when Trevor Prangley fought Jeremy Horn, I thought Trevor won that fight, but he looked so tired the whole fucking fight. There's no way judges could go, yeah, that guy was dominant. There was just no way. There's just times when you have to look the part.
Trevor looked tired in a lot of his fights.
Oh yeah, no, but that was one though where I actually thought, I was like, hey, like if you're gonna say I thought he won a fight that was very close, but I thought the fatigue really cost him the fight. He looked exhausted, and so I think that was a little bit of the difference maker. And then I had him landing the harder, cleaner shots because I think he tore Nico Price's nose in that beginning or like the first minute of the third round. He hit him with
He had to look. He cut him above the eye.
Yeah, and there was another cut, I think, right there by his nose, too, at the beginning of the third round. So, overall, good exchanges. I want to see, like, more of a dog fight, but it delivered.
Yeah, like I thought the third round really delivered, made the fight fun overall.
Because when we talked about this fight, this card in the midweek show.
That was the fight that we thought was going to be the fun one.
This was the fight that we thought was going to be the best fight.
Yeah.
So, Kevin Holland, Kyle Dawkins. Do you want to skip this one right now and go to the main event and then come back? Because there's a lot to talk about on this fight.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go to the main event, and then we're going to come back to this Kevin Holland Dawkins fight because there's a lot to get into in terms of the refereeing, the stoppage, the not stoppage, the no contest, and plus the overall fight itself up until then.
And Josh loves headbutt situations. So
yeah, I can relate to refs not doing their job. I get it. No.
This is why you don't become a fighter if you have a soft head.
Yes, this is very true. Yeah. Just got to learn to lead with the forehead. All right, so Thiago Santos and Johnny Walker.
One of the things that I thought was weird is, first off, I knew that Johnny Walker had gone to SBG, was training in Ireland, and had John Kavanagh with him and stuff. And I actually thought they did a good job with him as far as his cardio was good. He didn't do a lot of the crazy things that kind of made him a fan favorite because he would do those explosive big movements, but it left him open to get, blasted. And he got some losses based upon that too. You got some big wins and you got some big losses. But I was really surprised that John Kavanagh was telling him, you're winning that. That was your round. That was your round. I was like, John, what are you doing, man? Yeah. You're smarter than that because you don't know. Especially when it's a fight like that one where it's close. You could think he's winning a round and the judges all go the other way. And the one thing that I saw as the difference for the most part in the fight, and I think it's why the judges went with Thiago Santos, was he landed the heavier strikes overall. The big kicks to the body, he had the ones that you could hear, you could see the redness, the impact was obvious, and you could see at times it kind of bothered Johnny, even though he took it well. But I was really surprised that he was saying, "You're winning." You're winning. He was like, "Why are you telling him that? I need to tell him you need to do more. I need more output from you. I need you to put him on that back foot." If you're going to watch Thiago Santos fight, he's great when he's coming forward. He's okay when he's doing lateral, but when he's put on his back foot against the cage, he just stops all of that offensive progression. So why are you not making your guy fucking put him in that position?
Why do you think he has that big fucking hammer tattoo on his chest? Because he's good when he's the hammer.
You go.
He's good when he's the hammer. He's the guy that's going to walk you down and fucking piece you up if let him.
If he comes forward, you're in trouble.
Yep. If you move him backwards, he's not the same fighter. There's guys that can fight, and I've said this a bunch. There's guys that can fight going backwards.
Oh, yeah.
There's guys that possess power going backwards.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like Anderson Silva, he can fight going backwards, and he's got power going backwards.
Yep.
Okay. Like Chuck Liddell, he had power going backwards. I mean, he circled out and moving backwards and was able to knock Randy
Chuck
out.
got most of his knockouts stepping backwards.
There's guys that have it, but then there's also guys that maybe they have the power, but they just don't know how to throw it off that back foot when they're moving backwards. Santos is one of them. He's got all the power. You can see it when he throws. He's got power. I've said the same thing about Rockhold. Rockhold is a phenomenal fighter. Him going forward, he's fucking good. You put him on the back foot, he has difficulty. He doesn't fight very well going backwards. So when we talk about the Strickland and Luke fight, I'm like, damn. Like if Luke pushes him around or Luke makes it a wrestling match or a jiu-jitsu match, he wins it hands down.
Yep.
Where he doesn't want to be is where Strickland puts most of his people going backwards. Doesn't want to fight going backwards. And so when I'm having this conversation with you and you said all the things that I was thinking in my mind, Johnny Walker made some good adjustments being with John Kavanagh. He's not doing crazy stuff. He's fighting within his means, not leaving himself open, so much after the strikes. The setups and the feints need to be a little bit more. John Kavanagh was even calling for him. Sure, He was feinting, but he's got to make sure that he throws not just one, but more. So after you throw the inside leg kick or the outside leg kick, you've got to come back with a head combination with the hands. He wasn't always doing that. He was throwing one and then maybe one punch. Throw twos and threes after you throw the inside leg kick or the outside leg kick. That type of situation. Or throw the hands first, then finish with the kick, and then come back with maybe one punch after that. You got to keep them guessing, and he wasn't doing that enough. But I want people to remember this. And when you go to a new camp and when you're with someone like John Kavanagh, there's a lot that they're giving you because they see you're a sponge. They see that you want to learn. And then when that first fight or those first couple fights with a new camp, they're not always your best fights. But I thought he looked better tonight in terms of being conservative with his output and being smart about it. But I do agree with you because of the John Kavanagh situation, and we both think John is one of the best coaches in the game. This was one of those mistakes where when fights are this close, you can never tell your fighter that you're winning. Yeah. You can just tell him, like, look, even when he did say, excuse me, even when he did say he was winning, he said, hey, but we need this round. I got that. We're winning, but okay, I got that. We need the round too. But let's say, look, the rounds were so close. I don't know. So we need this round regardless. Yeah. Yep. So that was a little disturbing when I heard that as well. I was like, you can't, when the fights are this close, knowing the judging can always be a little fucked up. Just say, hey, we need this round no matter what. We don't know. It could have went either way.
Yeah, we could be losing every one of these. Mm-hmm. You don't know because it's that close. Yeah. So let's not. We have no room here to give anything. We've got to start taking, and you got to go after him. And I really do think that John did a great job in slowing Johnny Walker down with all the craziness. And like you said, the big difference is he's throwing feints. It's like if you throw that front kick like he does, and it's long and it's fast, and then give the feint. But don't just feint after you're throwing your hands and now you're feinting the kick. If you hit him with the kick And now you give the feint. What's he going to do? He's going to respond like that kick's coming again. That will help set up your ability to now land a counter off of it, set it up. You know, there was just a separation sometimes from what he was doing and what you would want to see him do to a point in taking control of the fight.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a good fight. I actually was texting Dave right before the fight started. I said, I don't see this fight going past 2. And and it did. I was like, of course, put my fucking foot in my mouth. And got 5 rounds. But I mean, overall, Johnny Walker shouldn't be upset too much.
No,
actually,
other
than just should have had more output. That was about it.
I'm being honest, Josh. I had kind of given up on him based upon.
Yeah.
Look at you're too out of control. The more you fight upper tier, guys, they're gonna find when you make that big rush, that big mistake, and they're gonna capitalize, and this is gonna happen over. And so I was like, he's done. You can't do those things. Well, he's not done. He is absolutely showing that, you know what, he can learn and he can calm himself down and he can do well in the fight. He does tend to get that where he's leaning back. He's throwing a shot, but leaning back because he doesn't want to be hit. And it's like you're taking power off of your shots. There's little things to adjust. Davy Jones, who he's working, he'll do those things and he'll get it right. But from the fight that I saw, Johnny Walker, he's back and he's going to be competitive. So in the light heavyweight divisions of the UFC, there's nobody that really stands out right now as super impressive other than like Yuri. Yuri's got that, he's there with it. And you got Glover, who's got the next shot. So he had beat Santos, and obviously you got Blachowicz, but below them, there's not that big of a, that heavy of a collection of guys that you go, oh, he can't beat him. No, he could beat all of them. So kind of interesting. He put himself right back, even though he got a loss.
Got it. All right, so let's get back into the co-main event, which was Kevin Holland versus Kyle Dawkins. We thought this was going to be a great fight. It was leading up to be a good fight. And obviously unforeseen circumstances with the headbutt and the head clash. It was accidental. Neither person was leaning in with their heads. They just jumped in at the same time.
Yep.
I've had experience with this, and I'm not look. And I know as much as I like to give John a hard time, as much as I like to give John a hard time about this stuff. In all fairness, I want to talk about when I went to appeal it in California, because what I heard from Dan Miragliotta was the same reason that I pitched at the California State Athletic Commission's appeal. I said, because their argument was, you kept fighting. And my argument is, guess what? There's been times
that's what you do.
That's what we do. Like, it's ingrained in us. I've been doing this shit for 20 years. My body automatically does it. So I give the example of the Pat Healy fight. I was getting taken down and talking to myself in my head in the 3rd round because I had broke 2 of my ribs in my sternum. In the 3rd round, he takes me down with like 2 minutes left. And I tell myself, look, there's no shame. Like, you can barely breathe. You're having a hard time. There's no shame. Just concede in the bottom. As he's taking me down, I hit the ground. And I'm telling myself, it's okay. Don't worry. Just pull guard. I'm standing back up. Because your body's just like, as soon as you hit the ground, boom, you start working your way back up. You don't think.
Training.
It's just training. It's over. It's repetition of 20 years of get back up, get back up.
There was a very simple statement I used to say all the time. Your body will readily go where your mind has already been. Meaning, when you train a certain way and you do something over and over and over, and that's part of who you are, doesn't matter what you're saying in your head, your body's going to just respond and do those things that you have already done and thought of and all that over and over again. It's just going to go.
Yeah, because if you look at my Tony Ferguson fight, I tried to quit fucking 1,000 times, okay? But guess what? The body just kept moving and just kept trying to keep going. I wanted to get out of there. I kept telling myself, just fucking, it's over, get out of it. But there's never a moment where my body stopped trying to fight out of those positions. And if my body's still going, then who the fuck, my brain, who are you to tell my body what to do?
You know
what I mean? And that's what my point was. Dan came out and he goes, oh, I saw it, but I thought like he just moved right away. He kept fighting. Well, he moved right away because Dawkins jumped on top of him and started hitting him. if you start hitting me, I'm going to start moving as well because I don't want to get fucking fully ground and pounded out. Like, you just need to keep going. And that's my concern in that situation, in that position, because how do you now go? How does Kevin Holland turn? Had Murgliata not made that a no contest, how does he go and get that overturned with the commission, knowing the commission is going to look at you and say, well, you kept fighting. No shit, I kept fighting. My body's been trained to do that for pretty much a quarter of my life. That's one thing. And I also don't want to keep getting punched in the head, knowing that, sure, I'm not all there, but I also don't want to get knocked out completely. And so that's where I have I'm glad. I'm really, really glad he chose to make this a no contest. But up until I heard Herb Dean whisper in his ear what he was saying, I was thinking to myself, because he was making almost like he was making an argument.
No, he was making the
he
argument.
Kept fighting. He kept fighting.
It's going to stay the way it is. He was still fighting.
Yeah, that's bullshit. And that's what that was like, oh, don't do that. Please don't do that.
The real telling part was you don't know what the referee sees. Okay. And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, that one you should have seen, you know, based upon where you were at, you know, the position that he was at and the way that Kevin fell when they came hard. Look, he went face first. He was out. When he hit the ground, he woke up.
John, they showed the camera view from the front. His eyes rolled back in his head for a split second.
Dude, he
was out.
It was like getting punched. He got hit on the jaw. It wasn't that it was his forehead or anything like that, but it snapped his head, and he was not, you know, in any way prepared for that, and it put him out. But the telling part was when Dan said, oh, I saw it, and I rushed in there, but then he started fighting. This is where all MMA referees make mistakes. This is not, oh, he's fighting, let it go. You don't do that, because if you see the head clash many times, you know, you'll see a head clash and neither guy responds to it at all, right? And so instead of stopping the action, if there's no cut, no damage that you see, you'll just, you know, you'll come close to him and say, hey, watch your heads inside, or something to that effect, because you can see it did not affect either fighter. But if you have anything that shows that there's an effect, and a guy getting knocked down, if you say, I saw that was a clash of heads, and you see a guy getting knocked down, it's time to go stop time. No matter that he comes back out of it, because I'm going to get him up and I'm going to take him over to the corner. I'm going to let him clear out that, you know, the cobwebs, if there is that there. And I'm going to have the doctor look at him. And then if the doctor says, hey, we'll put him back into the fight. I did it with Seth Petrozelli against Mo Law, and it was a Bellator, and we were trying to look it up, 96, I think, but I can't find the video. But you'll see exactly those things. I mean, they hit. Mo Law goes after him to finish him, and he thinks I stopped the fight. He's all excited and said, no, you know, I had called time and stuff, and it was, you know, you clashed heads. That's what hurt him. And so you've got to take that time. And the thing is, the referee doesn't want to interfere with the action of the fight. You have to interfere with the action of the fight if you can see that it visibly caused damage to one fighter or to both fighters. You got to give him time.
Yeah, he was out. That was the thing that really, he was out. And like I said, from that front view, which the camera angle was, you could see his eyes roll back. You could see him go face down. He didn't even put his hands up to block his face from hitting the canvas. And then when Dawkins jumped on him, as soon as his body hit him, it woke him up. And he started trying to fight out of that position.
Sure.
He started hitting him. Now, I said, you and I were talking before we came on air, and I said, he's lucky. I said, Holland's lucky that he was trying to finish him with a submission versus trying to knock him out. Because when they got into the tussle, Holland got back up to his feet.
He was able
to jump to his back, and he would have got knocked out easy. That's what a lot of people don't get, is that once you've been knocked out like that, in that type of scenario, if I touch you again, your odds of you going to sleep are pretty damn easy. Like, it doesn't have to be hard. It just needs to graze you in the same spot or near the same spot, because your head and your brain's already rattled. Everything about it's rattled. And I go back to, I think I even said this in the California State Athletic Commission's meeting. I said, so what you're saying is that what I should have done was just fucking flopped on the ground and fucking kicked and screamed to get more attention than I got headbutted. And they basically were like, well, yeah. I was like, that's not what fighters do. Like,
No.
if you guys believe that, that's not what real fighters do. They don't do that shit. They
go ahead. I'm sorry.
their body's just ingrained to keep fighting because that's what they're fucking told to do.
Let's look at this though and take a look. There has been an evolution though, because from your situation, which, you know, I know you thought I was against you, but I was actually for you, and I was trying to help you in the thing. But they had kind of made up their mind for whatever reason, and I think it was because I think that, you know, the executive director Andy Foster had talked to him and said, you know, he got right back up, and I think they bit into that. And that was their determining factor. Well, and they watch the tape and they see you bounce right back up, and it's like, well, he's fine. When no, you were hurt by it. But the thing to look at is evolution-wise, at least in the state of California, they brought in instant replay, so we could go to instant replay on that type of situation. Even if I didn't, know, because I had asked the judge, hey, was that a clash of heads or was that a punch? And the judge told me it was a punch, right? I'm like, oh, okay. And then later on I see, no, that was a fucking clash of heads. So at least now in the state of California, we can go and we can look at that instant replay and we can reverse it. Same as what Nevada has implemented with their ringside official being the replay official. They handled this, and it's okay if it takes more than one person to come up with the idea of this is the direction we need to go, as long as that direction is the right direction for the fighters. And so I'm very happy that they have Herb, being that replay official. I'm happy that you saw Jeff Mullins, who was in charge of the fight for the state of Nevada. He was definitely a part of it and talking to him. You saw other officials coming in and giving information about what they saw, which in the end forced or made or, because we kind of thought that Dan was kind of going to go with, no, I'm going to leave it the way it is. But all of that input told him, no, I need to make this a no contest. And that was the right call for what occurred in this fight. Kevin Holland did not deserve to lose the fight based upon being hurt by a clash of heads. That's not within the legality of the sport. And so he shouldn't lose based upon the injury that he suffered and the damage that he suffered from that, which put him in a situation where the choke ends up making him tap later on. So in the end, the right thing was done, and that's good for the sport of MMA.
Yes, but had it not been done, it would have been loopholes for this poor guy to go through.
I'm sitting there going, God damn it, man, you guys better make this a no contest. Yep. If you don't make this a no contest, you're going to have serious problems, because it doesn't matter what you have as far as a replay official, instant replay, any of that. You don't use it, people say, well, doesn't matter that it's there or not. You guys don't know what you're doing. And they did a great job. That's the biggest
thing. It would be all bullshit if they didn't actually use it to their advantage today. And if he didn't make the right call, I was screaming at the freaking TV going, you better fucking make this a no contest.
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, that poor kid, he's trained hard. He's working on his wrestling. He's doing this, like trying to do everything he can.
He's talking to DC and
I love it. I love that thing though. And he stopped some takedowns as well. And I was like, there you go, young man.
It rough.
That's right. But overall, it was looking to be a really great fight. They had some great exchanges in that first round. It was going back and forth. I liked it. I liked everything that was going on, man.
And all you got to do is, and now as the UFC, you take that fight and 6 weeks down the road, put that fight back together.
Yes, I hope so. I do hope so.
That's it.
Like I said, look, the NFL is using this same type of format. They have their person in New York now that's doing the instant replay, so they get kicked back right away, who looks at the video right away and says, okay, it was both of you
need to review this.
It was a touchdown. You need to review this. That's if it doesn't work if you're not using it. And so the fact that they use it today and the right call was made, it makes me feel good about the sport right now.
Yeah, there's evolution.
Evolution in the
right direction.
Well, this is the problem though. is that refs, because I work with you and you're a former referee, and I know they have big egos, and there's a lot of
huge egos. Huge.
I sometimes wonder how you get through doors with your ears. In your head, you just got to grease the ears and the forehead.
Sometimes, man, you butter it.
Can't turn sideways. I get
it. Butter it back.
Oh man, but I'm glad that it worked out the right way. Then, like you said, they're gonna probably run this fight. It sounded like, because Sean Shelby was talking to Holland as he was walking out, so it looked like they had communication about let's do
run it back. Yeah,
Dana may change that. Who knows? But I'm saying that it seems like there'd be no reason to not run it back again.
No, they'll run it back.
It was shaping up to be a good fight.
Yeah,
it was shaping up to be a good fight.
And here's the other thing: it's going to be a competitive fight.
Kevin Holland he's pretty damn good on the ground as well. And that's the thing.
Those doctors,
he was. I know he was, but you could tell he was in a phase the whole time. Dawkins was all over him when the submission after. He was a step behind every way. Now, maybe that'll be shown again in the next fight, but I can't believe that that's the type of jiu-jitsu he has in defending those type of positions.
No,
he was in a phase. He was in a haze, step behind.
A haze. Yeah, he was definitely. He's a quarter second behind.
Yeah.
And that's because his brain got altered.
And that's all it takes when you're fighting the best guys.
That's it. So I thought overall, great job by the state of Nevada and the Athletic Commission in allowing all those officials to come together, all those people, and to talk about what's the best thing, not only for the fighters, but for the sport. Because, the best thing for Dawkins, he gets a win. But it's not going to hurt him that he gets a no contest. And it's not what's best for Kevin Holland. It's not fair, and it's not what's best for the sport, because when we have someone get a win when it's not deserved, it's not good for the sport.
Yeah. Not to mention, if, like you said, if they do run it back in 8 weeks or whatever, 6 to 8 weeks or 10 weeks, whatever it is, that they're going to get their money again.
Yeah.
Which is nice to make that amount of money, in a short period of time.
Yeah, but see, if you're one of them or both of them, they say, okay, we're going to do that fight again. You get the same pay. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's bump that just a little bit.
Just a tiny bit. Let's get a little bit more. All right. Well, hey, let's run into the Bellator show and talk about that as well. All right, guys, I want to thank one of our biggest sponsors, MyBookie.ag. Use the promo code weighing in with all the sports that are coming available right now. You got football starting, got basketball coming to about. Also, make sure you guys use that promo code weighing in. They'll give you a little extra spending cash with your first initial deposit. Don't miss out on this. Use MyBookie.ag. Use the promo code weighing in to get that little extra. You also use that code right there if you guys can, and that will actually take you right to getting that extra cash. MyBookie.ag, use the promo code weighing in.
Oh, my goodness. Where are we starting on that one?
Scroll down to the bottom. Is that the bottom? That's on the bottom. Keep going. Let me see all the way up. Let me see. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Where do you want to start? I thought, I don't know how you say his name. I say it Diata, but it's not. I know it's not that. It's Giata.
Oh, yeah. Fabakari
Giata. Jetta. Okay. And then Nathan Rose. Pretty good fight. Good exchanges back and forth. Nathan Rose just couldn't pull the trigger. He just needed more output. That's really what it came down to.
Yeah.
He fell into a little bit of that Walker position, where he just did not need a little bit more output, need to put out a little bit more, and it just wasn't enough, and it cost him the fight.
I agree. But, there's something about, and I don't know how old Jetta is, because he looks young.
I think he seems like he was like 20 something.
His build
Diata,
and everything.
Okay.
Oh, it's gonna look like Diata, but it's Jetta.
Yeah.
24.
He's a baby.
Super young. He's a baby, man. He's good because he can fight everywhere. His stand-up is getting strong. He's actually got good combinations. He throws hard shots. He's got good kicks. And I guarantee he's gonna get a big takedown here, and he did, because he does it in every fight that I've ever watched him in. He's super strong for the weight class, so he's gonna be fun to watch to see exactly where he ends up getting to. Coming out of France, there's a lot of guys from France. All of a sudden, they're starting to show, hey man, they got some good MMA fighters there.
Well, here's the thing, though. So there was a lot of hype when I started doing the European series for Bellator. There was a ton of hype around Dominic Wooding. He beat Dominic Wood in his last fight.
Yes, he did.
There's a lot of hype around Nathan Rose. He beats Nathan Rose. I mean, if you look at that 145 pound weight class now, in terms of people that he should be fighting, you're getting up into those top guys now in that top 10, because you've already beat the two most hyped guys in terms of athleticism and guys that people were talking about being the ones from the UK market. So where does he go now? I mean, like, he needs to probably break into that top 10 for the Bellator at 145. Give him someone in there to give him a chance, because he's sure he's a stand-up guy, but he's not bad in the clinch and the wrestling positions as well.
No, he's not. His wrestling, for a guy that you look and you go, never wrestled in his life, his wrestling's damn good. He can actually wrestle, so he's going to be fun to watch. He's a guy that I really. What's that?
Go back to the rankings there. I mean, yeah, if we're in that mix right there, you have Justin Gonzalez, you've got Jeremy Kennedy, you got Pedro Cavallo. Pedro and Daniel Weichel are fighting next. You got Aaron Pico, Emmanuel Sanchez. All right, maybe he's not ready yet. He's not ready. He's not ready yet. I would say maybe a Justin Gonzalez, Jeremy Kennedy. I think Darren Caldwell. I think Darren's at 135 again, so he's probably not. He'll be out of there. Yeah, Darren's going to stay, I think, at 135 is from what I understand from him. Yeah, he's not. He could be ready for a Jeremy Kennedy or a Justin Gonzalez. Justin's got too good a wrestling. Probably take him down. Yeah, Jeremy Kennedy's good all the way around. He's a
but
dog.
A guy like Pedro Cavallo, I think Pedro might have a little bit, as far as he's got more of the complete game, because he's got a very good submission game. But that's a guy you look at and go, yeah, I could put him in there with him.
Yeah, but we're only saying that because Pedro's coming off 2 nasty losses.
Of course, that's why I'm saying it.
That's why you're saying it. Well, Pedro can get back on the track if he gets a big win over Weichel. Weichel just signed another contract with Bellator. He's just re-upped, so he's back in the game, man. He's good. He's just talented all the way around, Daniel Weichel. All right, next, back to the card.
Big win by Jack Grant coming in. That was the first time I saw. I've watched Nathan Jones fight multiple times, and I knew exactly. Very good, very dynamic in the stand-up. Has heavy hands. And then I'd watched tape on Jack Grant and realized, like, he's a grappler. He'll stand and bang, but he's always looking for the takedowns. So, this is the classic striker versus grappler. Ooh, Jack Grant just ran through him, both in the striking and in the grappling and everywhere else in between.
Well, Nathan Jones is also one of those guys that he's good when he's the hammer. When he's not the hammer, he tends to wilt a little bit. So I think Jack Grant went out there, started touching him up. He was a little hesitant in the very first minute. He was kind of filling out the speed and stuff. But then as he realized, I can just go ahead and walk you down, start throwing the big shots. But yeah, Jack Grant looked good. He looked good. How do you say this guy's name? Davey Gallon?
Davey Gallon.
And then Kane Musa.
Davey's the guy that had the Rolling Thunder kick against Ross Pearson. Do you remember seeing that one?
I do remember seeing that.
Man, it was back in, I want to say 2019, knocked Ross Pearson out. He tried it in this, he even tried it
a couple times.
But it's like, hey, this guy can fight. He started his career off with some losses because obviously he didn't understand how to fight MMA really, but he's getting it, and his stand-up has gotten way better. And Kane Musa can throw. He's got power. And before the fight, I talked to Kane and I said, hey, let it go.
That's what I was saying.
Let it go, dude. Don't freaking hold. And he tried. He did. I'll give it to him. He fought his ass off. Now he suffered a nasty cut. That thing was a fucking gully. It was huge.
Yeah. John, that thing, the fucking Grand Canyon was on his forehead.
Oh,
jeez, man. That thing was so damn big.
It was huge. But he fought through it, man, and I'll give him nothing. I give K Musa more props on that fight, which ended up being a loss, on multiple things. First off, he came and he fought his ass off. He was throwing hard. He was going after his opponent, and he took some big shots and kept going after it. You can't ask anything more. When you have a fighter and he loses that kind of fight, you go, man, you were fantastic. I got nothing bad to say about you. I got nothing that I can sit there and say, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. yeah, you should have landed that punch. Or come on, he had.
I'll do that part of the show for you, John.
Okay,
Well,
he had a real deficit in the fact that he couldn't see, because when you have that much blood coming down into your face, and you're not seeing clearly out of that eye, it's got a sting to it. It's just a nasty feeling. It's a film. So I give Kane Musa credit. I thought it was a really good fight for the both of them. Davey obviously should have gotten the win, but both guys fought their asses off.
I'm going to go back to some of his previous fight, Kane Musa's. Okay, so like I said, Davey, great job, did a great fight. Kane dealing with a lot of that cut, the blood in the eyes, everything. There was tons of blood, especially I think after was it the first round he got it? Towards the end of the first round he got the cut?
Yeah, it was at the end.
Yeah, end of the first round he got the cut. And so going into that second round, tons of blood. They cleaned it up very well. They did a great job. Cut guys are so important. He did a great job cleaning it up, stuffing it with Vaseline. And then it stayed that. Yeah, they stuffed it with Vaseline.
Yeah, a jar full.
Yeah, it was deep, man. Oh, yeah. If you guys haven't seen, remember, if you guys go back to the old fight with Marvin Eastman,
dude,
and Vitor
Marvin
Belfort,
Eastman, that's the way the cut looked.
Marvin Eastman and Vitor Belfort, it looked just like that, but they stopped the fight on that cut. This fight kept on for another. Oh no, that's right. They did. That's right.
It wasn't that.
Sorry, I thought it was because of the cut. I was looking back.
No,
I was like, did they stop that fight? He did get knocked out. That's right. Flying knee right to the dome.
Yep.
But then Kane, he did what he was supposed to. He did in terms of pulling the trigger. But I don't know how much of that cut and that blood had much of an effect in terms of every time he punched, they got into the clinch. He's got to work to either trying to throw the arm out, because he had double unders quite a bit. Yeah. When you're in that position on the double unders, tripping the outside leg, putting your forehead underneath their chin to like take them over in a body lock position, throwing their arm by, getting to the back, those little things, I have no problem, because he pulled the trigger, because that was what he had problems with in the past. If you look at some of his old fights, he just was hesitant on throwing his hands. This fight, he threw his hands. But when they clashed and they got close together, he got to the double unders and then just ran him to the fence and then hung out there. You got to be offensive on that situation in those scenarios, because those little tiny tweaks and adjustments, if I throw your arm by and I get to your back, I have more control now, and there's less risk of me getting injured from that position or me getting taken down as well. So there was that. And then you'll hear Henry Cejudo say it all the time, and every top wrestler in the game. It's all about the speed of finish. As soon as I get to the double unders, just tripping the outside leg or inside tripping or doing whatever it is to change the movement or the balance of your opponent. He doesn't do that. He just grabs the body and then drives into the fence and then lets them hang out. That right there is a bad look as well. No matter if you have the better position, the ref is thinking you're just tired, or the judges are thinking you're just tired. And the crowd starts to get impatient, which then, believe it or not, they kind of start to sway the judges as well when they're booing, boo, he's not doing anything. And then if you have a big cut, you've got blood, you're not, you could be doing something, but you're the one that has the guy pressed to the fence. All those little tiny things, they start to, no matter what John tells you, they start to affect the judges a little bit. They start thinking, okay, well, if I got to break you or if I got to put you back out to the middle, you're the guy that has a dominant position. Why are you not doing something? And I get it. The other person's supposed to defend, but it's kind of a neutral position, double unders, press to the fence. But if you're not doing anything, you have the better position of the two, you've got to do something. And so that's, if I'm going to critique him in terms of anything, it was nothing else.
I think I said it, especially if you're going against a guy that comes from a judo background, which David Gallon does, is if you get double unders, you cannot sit there and have your double unders and have your hands somewhere middle of the back. You can't do it, because he's clamping down with overhooks, and he can use those overhooks, and it actually works against you to a point. So you've got to either bring your hands really high, bringing his arms up, or you get sling your arms down low into his hips and suck his hips up into you, and now you control his, lower body that way. But he was riding into that middle of the back territory for a long time. It's like, you can't do that. It's working against you. Like you're saying, he would get the double unders, but it wasn't an actual advantage for him with the guy that he was fighting and what he was doing. So,
overall, though, I thought it was one of the better Canes that I've seen fight, though, because I've seen him in the past just let fights go when he could have got them out of there by letting his hands go. In this situation, he threw his hands, But then as he got cut, and then as the blood and all the other stuff, he started throwing his hands, but then getting to the double unders and then not doing anything. Make the space, throw the punches, or get the takedown and get on top and do your work. So I would have liked to have seen that. I thought the guy who had the performance of the night, though, was, well, a couple of them, but I thought Lewis Long, he looked phenomenal. Absolutely great.
For what? All of
40 seconds?
35 seconds? I don't know what it was.
But I was saying he looked good. I've seen I've called a couple of his fights before in the past, and he's a scrapper. He's someone, he's got to go. He's got a tank, and he's shorter and stockier.
And he's hysterical. He's got a great personality.
He does. With a name like Footlong, you would think.
Yeah.
Louis Footlong.
Lewis.
Oh, that's so great. But overall, I thought he had a good performance. I've called several of his fights, and he's good. He's talented. I believe he lost to
Especially
Oliver
on the ground.
Camp. Yeah, he's good on the ground, but he lost to Oliver Camp, but it was a good fight. Scrappy back and forth. Good fight, though. Tim Wilde, Yves Landau.
He's just get tired.
Kind of went the way we thought it was going to go.
Yep. Went exactly like we thought it was going to go. We thought Tim was going to eventually the stand-up would be just a little bit too much for Yves. Yves is that real explosive guy, but all that explosive movement got a little tired. Wasn't able to, continue on at the same pace with everything. That was just the difference of it. Good win for Tim.
Yeah, this is look, if you're a young fighter, let me explain something to you. Okay, so we met with Yves Landau in the fighter meetings, and I said, what's your game plan? Like, give us, an idea of what you're, how you're thinking this fight's gonna go. If it goes to the ground, it's okay. If it goes on the feet, it's okay. Let's go anywhere in this fight. Now you normally hear that. Yeah, you normally hear that, but the problem is when you have no game plan to follow suit with. Now I get you, things change when you get in there, but you need to have a game plan. Okay, look, I'm gonna try to sprawl and brawl, keep it on the feet. He has no game plan, which means that whatever comes his way, he'll take it. So, there was times where he's punching, and right in the middle of punching, I see the leg's kind of close. I'm going to grab the leg. Doesn't get the takedown. Tons of energy used on trying to get the takedown. Then eventually he does get the takedown, but then doesn't know what to do with it because he didn't plan on getting the takedown. You've got to have, you can't just waste energy. And after that first round, he had wasted so much energy. He won the round, but you don't. Frank Shamrock used to say this all the time to me. You're not tired until you stop moving. It's you don't feel like you're tired until you stop moving. Well, guess what? The round ended. And for that 1 minute, he was fucking exhausted. And that led into the rest of the fight because he just didn't have the output he had in the first round. He didn't have it in the second and third.
No, he won the battle of the first round to lose the war because he shot everything that he had into that one round to win it. And there was nothing really left.
Nothing. Yeah, he had nothing left. And so that like I was trying to say with the younger fighters, you guys need to have a strategy going in. Now, look, you're going to have to change that strategy almost in every fight. But at least you have a good strategy of hey, this is what my focus is. You can't just go in whatever they give me, I'm going to take. That's good. But then it'll come naturally when you start getting better. But go in there with a game plan.
It also comes much quicker as far as if you have a game plan and you know exactly what you want to do and what you're looking for, when it happens, you react quicker because you've already been planning for it and looking for it and you see it and there it is and now you react. If you don't have that, the reaction is probably not going to be as quick.
Well, there's that, and then you're not hanging on to things that they're not going anywhere. You're thinking, I got in deep on the legs, so I got to keep going. No, I can abandon it whenever I want. Those are things that you thought because you there was no game plan, so you just I took it, and you're like, I'm gonna get it, and no, you're not gonna get it, and so there's a lot of wasted energy in those positions. So, like I said, for young fighters, if you guys get a chance, go back and watch that fight and take a look at what he did, because in the first round it was all him, just everything. He was everywhere in that fight. It was kickboxing, flying knees, takedowns. It was everything, and then at the end there was nothing, and that's the thing.
That's about it.
Luke Trainer fought Yannick Bahati. Bahati actually, I thought he was looking better than we had seen him look in the past. Yeah. But Luke Trainer was on a different level that night. You could tell he just let Bahati, because we had talked about this, but I had mainly said on the Bahati situation, him even going to 205, he tends to slow down as the fight goes on. He used a lot of strength, a lot of power. He swings sometimes wild. He missed a lot with Luke Trainer, but that's fair to say because Luke is tall, long, and lanky, and he's able to get out of the range of punches, using his reach and his range. At
he's
205.
Tall, long, and lanky.
He's 205. He's tall, only 6'6". You know, he's got a long wingspan. But look, so does Bahati though. But Luke just fought a very composed fight. He's a young man, but very talented.
He fights very smart.
I feel like he's got a bright future
for a young fighter with not a lot of experience, he fights very intelligent. He follows a game plan. He knows exactly what he wants to do in the fight, where he wants to take the fight, and he just implements that game plan. And look, right now he looks good because he beat a good fighter in Bahati, not a world beater, but a good fighter. And look, he absolutely finished that off by breaking his orbital. There's no doubt about it. I saw Bahati this morning, and his eye is still puffed out, and he said, "Yeah, they said I have a broken orbital."
You saw him yesterday morning, but yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It was this morning right now.
Yeah, it's yesterday. Yeah. Oh, man. But Luke Trainer, man, looks good. He does a lot of good stuff as well. Him and his family, they foster young kids and families and stuff that need help. And
great people.
Just an absolute, when we did the fighter interviews with him, if you guys are looking to follow someone in terms of a young new talent with a great inspirational story, he's an absolute stud, man. Great person, great interviewer. It was so fun to be around. The energy is electric. So I like to follow people like that. And so I'm looking forward to his future, man. A great call out too.
Thank you. I was going to say, I love the call out that he made. Yep. Exactly in line. A guy that's coming off of a big win. Mm-hmm. A guy that, you know what? And I loved it. He says, hey, I know you're a savage, but this is what I want. I loved it. I thought it was great.
I loved it. Thought it was a good call out. Perfect. The fight that I thought was going to be fight of the night, it wasn't shaping up to be fight of the night either, by the way. So I want to make sure that I put my foot in my mouth there as well. No. I expected more out of both of them in terms of the throwdown. But look, when both people respect each other too much because they both know they can do damage, that's the situation we were in. Fight was stopped by eye pokes, several eye pokes, by the way.
Yep.
What do you do, John, in that situation? There was 3 eye pokes during that. Do you eventually just say, hey, the third one was enough? And you make it what do you make, like a DQ? Or do you just, all 3 of them were so not intentional that you just let it be and be a no contest?
Well, it's not intentional. You could end up starting to take points off of the second one. You can start to take points from him, but it's a matter of he's not riding out. He's always doing it in defensive abs. Whiteford is coming forward. He's backing off and extending his hand to push him away. And Whiteford's changing levels a little bit as he's throwing, and he runs right into it. So it's on both, even though it is, Andrew Fisher's hand and stuff. But you got to look and say there was no intent to do it, although it's damaging. And it's so damaging that you got to look and say Robert Whiteford is a compromised fighter at this point, because of those, eye pokes. I'm of the, feeling that you can't. I'm going to go against my Joe Rogan on this one. I just think you take a point. As soon as you have an eye poke, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
But you can start to say, hey, I can't have this. I'm going to give you, if I believe that the first one is unintentional and it's both of you and stuff, hey, be careful. You got to, close your hand, but if you do it a second time, I'm going to have to start taking points, and you're going to have to change the way you're going to fight. To stay in this fight, because I'm going to start taking points off of every one that you do, if you don't change, because you've got to change so it doesn't happen. And, obviously Whiteford couldn't go on because he couldn't see. And, that's the right thing is, it's a no contest, even though if it had been in the third round, they could have gone to the scorecards, but it was the second round. So you can't go to the scorecards on it. So it becomes a no contest. Neither guy wants that, but it's okay.
Got it.
But it wasn't the fight that I thought I was going to be either.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of canceled each other out.
Leah McCourt versus Jessica Borga.
So impressed with Leah McCourt.
Yeah, I thought the stand-up was a little bit on point. She got to throw the third one, though. She kept throwing the 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, right hand. You got to throw the third. Had she thrown the third, she'd had a lot more success. She could have potentially got Borga out of there. And where I thought, and you heard me when I was on the broadcast, I thought Jessica Borga was going to have the faster hands and the better hands in terms of the output of pressing to the fence, letting the hands go, boom, 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 making space, potentially using the takedowns to set up her hands. That wasn't the case. It wasn't the case at all. I think a lot of it came down to when she got in there, Leah McCourt must be stronger than I'm giving her credit for, because I've noticed with a lot of the girls, females, that they have a hard time pushing her around. I know she's tall.
She's tall.
She must be dealing with some strength in there because Jessica Borga is not a small person either. She's tall. She's, a little bit, I wouldn't say a smaller frame, but she's a little bit shorter. But she just had a hard time moving her around. She had a hard time, even when she landed hard shots, it didn't move Leah McCourt back.
No,
and so
there was a couple times you saw she actually tried to muscle her around.
Yeah.
Didn't work for her. Didn't work for her at all. So you're absolutely right. There's a point where you look and you say, Leah McCourt understands she's got leverage strength. She's got long levers as far her arms are long and stuff, and she understands where to put it. And you see other, women working against her, and it's like, that's not working for me. What's because she's stronger than you think based upon those long levers.
I also look at it too, like with Jessica Borga, and I don't know. I think her husband's in her corner along with somebody else, and I thought we had just talked about when your spouse is in your corner, sometimes isn't a good thing. In this situation, I look back at the first round. Where were you dominating that first round? On the ground. Where were you in the second and the third? On the feet.
On your feet.
And you have good wrestling. You should have been all over getting the takedown. Should have been all over pressing her to the fence, trying to snatch the single leg, or trying to catch some of the kicks and taking her down and getting to the top position, because you just didn't do it. You thought you could stand and trade and get into those mixes, and it just wasn't winning. You were having a hard time dealing with the length of Leah McCourt. That jab and the 1-2 and then the kicks, all that stuff. She was having success keeping you at bay, and you were getting more tired as the fight went on because you were taking shots. Yeah. So you got to figure that out in terms of, I blame a little bit of that on the corner. The corner needs to make those adjustments. Me yelling at her, saying, hey, work to the clinch, work to the takedown, work to shooting your double leg, whatever it is. In that situation, shit, you were having such good success even from the bottom. Pull guard. Do something. I mean, I'm just being honest, John. 3 rounds goes by pretty damn fast. And she needed something in that third round. I just don't think she had the cardio or the conditioning to get it to do what she needed to do in the third round, because she had taken a lot of shots in the.
She was breathing heavy in the second round. You saw her mouth was open and everything. So,
she tried so hard for those submissions in the first.
That's it.
She put a lot of output on trying to chase those submissions. She had some good opportunities, just wasn't able to get them there. All right, this is the fun part. This is the fun part. This is I'm gonna have to go back and watch it because
okay, you do that.
In full disclosure, everybody, I said on the broadcast that I had MVP winning the fight, and I'm still sticking with that. Just so I'm gonna go back though, because we just landed right before we came to the studio to film. I'm going to go back and watch it. I don't get to watch the fights cage side. I watch from the desk up top, but I also don't have the monitors we watch from. They're smaller. I watch from the big screen, or I watch from the table that I'm sitting at towards the cage, which is no better than like the person sitting in the back row on the floor. So everyone's standing up in front of you, can't see shit. So I'm going to go back and watch. I had MVP winning the first, the second, and losing the third. That's how I had it. Now, like I said, I'm splitting straws here in terms of like, look, both fighters should have had more output. Both fighters should have left it out there a lot more.
I agree.
And I'm gonna clear this up because a ton of people are like, oh, I want to see rounds 4 and 5. I have said this.
I said that too because I wanted to.
For a number 1 contender spot, I am all for rounds 4 and 5. This fight should have been what? This exactly. That's what I'm saying. This fight should have been. This fight should have been 4 and 5 rounds. It should have been 5 rounds, because I don't want to see fights. I don't want fighters to put miles on themselves for a 5-round fight just because the fans at home want to see it. I want to see the fighters fight longer, just for entertainment. If they're not going anywhere, I don't want to see that. I want to see a 3-round fight. I want to see the best fighter win in a 3-round fight. This is for a number 1 contender spot. This is to see who's going to fight Amosov next. I want to see 5 rounds. I want to see they should be ready for that level, which they both are. It should have been a 5-round fight. I agree. But moving on. John, you and I disagreed on how this fight should have been scored. You said it. You were leaning towards Lima. Yeah. I leaned towards MVP. Tell me why.
All right, let me get a couple of the things out of there, because I've heard all kinds of stuff. There was people saying, well, this is what happens when you go to a guy's hometown and he gets a hometown decision. He didn't get a hometown decision. All right.
Let's be honest. Actually didn't. The judge that was against him.
The one judge that went with Lima was from England. As Ben Cartledge. He went with Douglas Lima. The 2 judges that went with MVP were from the U.S. So Those two went with MVP, and the English judge went with Lima. So get that out of your mind that it was a hometown decision. It was not. It was, this is the way they saw it. But I think some of what they saw, was they didn't see. I can tell you that where they're seated, and again, I know this makes, very little sense if you haven't sat in that seat. But when you sit at the three different seats, there's things that you'll see in the fight and there's things that you won't, based upon body positions of the fighters and based upon the referee moving sometimes in the way and things like that. But where Ben Carthage was sitting was when MVP had some of his attacks where it looks like he knocks Lima down, when you can see that, no, he didn't land a clean shot. He just ran him over and Lima popped up. And it looks like he gets knocked down, but he really didn't. And I just know that based upon the commission, Ben Carthage was sitting where the commission was at, and they said, yeah, we saw that he didn't get hit. He got, and we agreed, we went with Lima winning that round, not MVP, but those guys thought that MVP got a knockdown, which would change, your view of what's, how you're going to score the fight. The knockdown is a big thing. Even if it was a knockdown, he got up, but it does change your way of looking at it. I just look at it this way. It was close. I had Lima winning. You had MVP winning. The judges, obviously, two of them, had MVP winning. One of them has Lima winning. And you're going to get people on both sides, saying, MVP won or Lima won. This is one of those ones where you're looking, and we talked about this beforehand. If you recall, we said, I think it's going to be a kind of a slow fight with not a whole lot. They're going to be very cautious and careful of each other because they don't want to make that mistake. And Lima almost caught him a second time on that same thing. He kicked the leg, and man, he missed by about an inch on that. So it was very close. And I asked Michael about it. He says, oh no, my eyes are open. I saw it. It's like, you saw it? You saw it as it went by.
Yeah,
because
he saw it as it went by.
Exactly, but
he saw it as it went by because he also got tripped up on the fence, and when he went to get up there, Lima almost hit him again there. That thing almost went by again. He almost got dropped twice by that same little getting up. The way he gets up, he needs to fix that. Yeah, that's a huge mistake every single time.
I look at this and it's not terrible. I personally look and say, I thought Lima won, but it's not terrible that, MVP won, and people are going to say, oh, Bellator's trying to put him. Bellator doesn't get a judging seat. This is through the commission and stuff, but it does open up the division a little bit. Douglas Lima's, not going to go anywhere. He's still going to be fantastic, and he's going to come back and fight well. I really, I was concerned with him going in this fight based upon, man, he cut a lot of weight, and you could see it was having an effect on him. But the guy is amazing because he didn't look tired.
No.
At any point in the fight, and normally he's used to fighting 5 rounds. So for a guy that looks like he's walking on death's door the day of weigh-ins and stuff, and even after the weigh-ins, and you look and you go, damn, man, he's killing himself. Man, he's like Max Holloway. He just, no problem.
Yeah,
I got this.
But he looks like Conor McGregor making 145 though. When you see him walking around the hotel, he looks disgusting.
Oh my God, he's so drawn. Yeah.
Well, I was talking to him. His voice was gone. He could barely talk. He's like, I feel good. I was like, yeah, you sound wonderful. You sound really good, buddy. Yeah. And I'm just like, man, it's horrible. Good. Yeah, I'm crazy. Yeah, he sounds like he's in the mafia.
He's auditioning for The Godfather. Exactly what I say.
Exactly.
He's going for Marlon Brando's spot. Yeah.
Look, I have to touch back on what you said. Bellator doesn't get involved in these decisions and the judging and all that shit. They have the commissions there that they use. They're not involved. Look, if you guys want to say, look at what happened tonight in the UFC, and you go on the broadcast, Sean Shelby was part of, not the decision, but Sean Shelby was part of them looking over the instant replay.
So was Mark Ratner.
Exactly. And these guys work for the UFC. So to think that hey, they want to know what's going on, but
they should want to know.
Not. They should want to know. But they want to make sure that, hey, we're using the instant replay, or this stuff it should be utilized. and they're making sure that it's being utilized so the right fighter wins. And in
That's
this situation, like John was saying, there's no good view. There's not a good view for every single judge on the side, because if the action takes place on this side, then these two judges can see it. That judge on the back doesn't see it as well. And that's how you end up with these type of decisions.
Split decision.
And I think it was a split decision. I really do. I can see why people thought that. But here's the other thing. Like I said, where I was sitting, I don't have a straight view. And I also don't have access to the replays as well, because my ISOs don't play the replays. I have to watch the replays from up on the big thing. And in between, when I'm at the desk, I'm getting a ton of questions from sometimes fans that are like, hey, who do you think won that round? And I'm talking to them, or I'm talking with people that are at the desk with me.
Them. Don't ever tell them who won the round, because you're wrong.
didn't tell them. I didn't tell them that. But it just so happened I was right in this case.
And the other part is you're also looking at, that cage. Let's be honest, that cage from you is 100 and some feet away.
Yeah, easily.
Okay. And you can't see fucking right up next to you. Okay. You need glasses. So
see what you just say. You're right. I actually had to read something on the monitor that night, and I had to have Aiden read it because I couldn't read it because it was so small. Like, how do you want me to read that font?
Are you kidding me?
Oh man, it's horrible. Look, overall, you guys, it's so funny because people were at home were like, oh, it wasn't the fight that I thought. You have two guys that respect each other.
It was kind of the fight that we thought.
And both have a lot on the line. MVP with getting the win over Lima because he lost to him before, and then also getting a title shot. Him wanting to redeem the loss that he had to Lima. And then him also on the line was getting his title shot. There's a lot at stake for just him. Then you go to Lima. He has 2 losses. I don't know if he's ever lost 3 in a row. Probably not.
Never
Lost 3 fights in a row. That also starts fucking with your mind mentally, man. Like, it just
Before
starts
this,
wearing
he had
on
never
you.
lost 2 fights in a row.
And so now he's lost 3 in a row. So now where is he going to be mentally in terms of, for the future of his career? What is he thinking? What are the things that are going through his head? And so there's a lot of exchanges, I think, in that people don't realize though, is that when you're watching that or before that fight, that crowd, I got to tip my hat to London, man. We said it in the beginning of the show, but London was freaking awesome. Sweet Caroline, all the other songs that I don't know the names of, but they are just absolutely amazing. I'm not a big music person, but I mean, like, it was nuts. Like,
fun.
It was crazy. In between every fight, they were singing, they were interacting, they were absolutely crazy. It was so fun to be there. And if you guys have never been to a show in London or in Dublin, I mean, you guys got to go. It was so much fun. So I look at it, like you said, it was not a hometown decision. Because like you said, the one judge that was from there gave it to Lima, and the other 2 judges from the U.S. gave it to MVP. It really depends on how you viewed the fight. I had MVP winning the fight because he got dropped twice in the first. But then, like you said, one of them was him being bulldozed over, and the other one was what? I thought he got hit square on the top of the head, and then he got put down.
He got hit, but it didn't hurt him. Again, he got kind of run over, though. He was off balance.
Yeah.
And he got run over, but hey, he went down, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
But
and then I looked at what
he also had about 2.5 minutes where he was on his back, and he took some shots. He took Elvis. If you're gonna be honest about the fight, I would tell you that Douglas Lima landed quite a few more shots overall than MVP. Now MVP may have had the harder shots, that could be, but what really hurt Douglas? None of them. He did get run over, though. So, and if you're looking at it and you think he gets hit with a clean shot and goes down, that'll sway which way you're going to go. So,
look, MVP, if he's gonna fight Amosov next, he's got his fucking hands full.
Oh, he better learn how to stop the takedown, man.
Because I had a conversation with Douglas Lima in the lobby after the fight, and I said, when are you going to start believing in your wrestling, man? Like, he got takedowns easy when he finally decided to get in on them. But he decided to stand and keep the range and was chasing, and throwing the big shots. I said, this could have been an easier fight for you. If Paul Daly can take MVP down, I know you can. Like, I believe in your wrestling. And if the wrestling's not there, go back to your striking. But he's got good takedowns, and he's got to put it together a little bit better. And for someone who's been world champion for so long, He's got all the abilities. It's just he likes to kick and he likes to throw big shots. He likes to win by knockout. And so I'm like, if he starts utilizing that wrestling, I think all the other stuff will come along a lot more. And and now it's easy for me to say this stuff because he's coming off 3 losses. I wasn't saying any of this shit fucking a year ago, a year and a half ago, because he was the king at the time. Like, it's easy to always talk about someone after they've come off loss. Like, oh, he should have done this. But he also has changed a little bit in terms of he would wrestle before. He would anti-wrestle and wrestle and throw his hands and his kicks. But as you get older, you stop trying to do the hard stuff. And the hard stuff is wrestling. That's really what it comes down to. So overall, though, it was a great night of fights. It was great to be there. It was just the aura of the whole town.
I'm being told that he has 2 losses in a row back in 2010.
Oh,
I was wrong.
Gotcha. All right. Well, hey, what else we got? Let's go into some news there, Podcast Dave. Look, we haven't got to hear your voice a whole lot tonight, so go ahead and
charm
our fans. Charm our fans with that beautiful Scottish voice.
Yeah, that Scottish voice that all our English fans says, that guy can't speak English.
It's so great.
Just keep in mind we kept our country, so there's that.
Woo! There it is.
Oh, wow.
Now it's coming.
We kept it. So Dan Hooker stepping in.
Thank you, William Wallace.
Yes. Okay. Dan Hooker stepping in last minute to face Islam at UFC 267 at the end of the month.
Dude, I love me some Dan Hooker. You got to love that guy.
I absolutely do. Absolutely.
Yeah, the dude is a damn just stone cold fighter, man. He's had some great fights. He's got losses. This is where people go, oh, he lost to so-and-so. Son of a bitch can fight.
Yeah.
Man, the battle he had against Poirier was fucking unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Just an incredible fight. The fact he took, the fight that he had, here against Harspot, great fight. He fought super smart, did well, and now he's going to take on frickin' Makhachev, on basically a month's.
Mm-hmm.
The dude's a gamer. He's a stud.
Yeah, I look at their body size, their styles, and their size, and they're about equal. He cuts a ton of weight. Islam's not going to have the advantage in the size wise.
I think Hooker's taller than Islam.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like he's not much though. I think Makhachev's 5'11", almost 6 foot, and then you've got him. He's 6'1". I think Hooker's 6'1". So I mean, but see, that's the thing. Islam to me has always been the bigger guy in a lot of the people he fights. So and physically strong, I would say after training with Islam for years, I have not met anyone that has been that strong that I've ever faced or fought or trained with ever. Gray Maynard was pretty damn strong.
Yeah.
But Islam is freakishly strong. And the same thing with Hooker, though. Hooker's got the size, he's got the reach, the range. Islam will have a hard time with him on the feet.
Oh, on the feet, Islam's going to have a lot of problems.
He's going to have a hard time with him on the feet. So, but this doesn't change. I don't think this will change the way that he's going to fight. The way he was supposed to fight RDA wasn't going to be on the feet. He was going to take RDA down. He was going to smash. He was going to smash him. And I think the game plan stays the same to fight him this way is get him down and try and smash him from there.
Going to be
overall
whole lot
though
different. There's a big difference between the way that Islam enters into a takedown situation and Khabib enters into a takedown situation.
Mm-hmm.
So with the length of Hooker, it's going to be interesting to see when Islam decides to try to close that distance.
Yeah.
Different game plan.
No, I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, because the explosiveness on the takedowns, I would give it to Khabib in terms of the double leg setups. Yeah. But when they get into those exchanges and they get into that fence, into the fence, you got to look for the foot sweeps, the underhooks, all that stuff.
And that's in the open cage area. I look for Islam to use those foot sweeps and everything. Against the cage, it's going to be hard for him. He can do it. I've seen him do it in the past, but it's going to be hard taking a long guy like Hooker down with some of those sweeps if he's got that fence to actually use as a balance point.
Yep. So I guess we're going to see, my friend.
It'll be fun.
That's why we fight the fight.
Yeah, baby.
All right, this next story is coming off the back of this criticism that Joe Rogan got about basically getting replaced. I don't know if you guys read the article. I won't name them. I'll let you guys name them if you want. And DC kind of came out in defense of Joe Rogan.
Good for DC.
DC says, Joe Rogan is a man. He has been so helpful and helps and asks for nothing in return. And Joe Rogan is a UFC. He's yesterday's UFC. He's today's UFC. Joe Rogan will be tomorrow's UFC. I am honored to be able to sit to his right on the biggest fight nights of the year.
Well said. Well said by DC. Look, John, you and I both have a little bit of an opinion on this.
Yeah.
We won't bring up the media source because it's all just clickbait bullshit, and people are like, "Oh, there's some truth to it." What truth is there to it?
No.
Joe Rogan is busy on the weekends. Joe Rogan's busy during the week. Okay, he does 2 shows a day. I believe sometimes he just does 1 show on Wednesdays. So he does 2 shows on Monday, 2 shows for his podcast, 2 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday, and then probably does 1 on Friday or whatever before he leaves to go do his comedy shows wherever he wants to go during the weekend. If it doesn't align, like he's said this numerous times, Rogan has. When I tell somebody that I'm going to do their venue for a show, I'm going to fucking do your venue. He's like, I don't change it because the UFC announces a pay-per-view that I have to be at. He's like, no, I don't do that. I've told someone, I've committed to somebody and their venue and told them I'm going to be there. I say, I'm going to be there. He's like, and there's I don't see an issue with that. I don't understand what the problem is. If he doesn't want to work every damn show,
comedy is that's his go-to thing. That's what he does.
That's his love. That's his love. You got to leave the guy alone. And so when we're having this conversation, but here's the thing: the conversation was like, "Oh, well, it's time for them to move on from him." Why? He brings more publicity to not just the fighters, and he's also had all of these fighters on his show to help boost them up so they can build their brands. He's done more for the actual sport than I can say almost anybody has.
For everyone out there, all right, and Josh will know what I'm talking about because he absolutely is in this position. For everyone out there, if you were on TV or anything like that, there's going to be people that like you. And there's going to be people that say you're the worst thing ever. You suck. Because you know what? Not everyone is going to like everything about what we do. Okay. You have your right to have your opinion. But it's an opinion. And I usually go off of just like, everyone's got opinions just like everyone's got an asshole. And they usually all stink. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, for all these people that are saying that he does no film work or he doesn't do any background on the fighters or anything like that. First off, what he does is what he's done throughout his entire time of being the color commentator for the UFC. If you're going to be honest about what Joe Rogan has done for the UFC, he has helped grow the UFC in an incredible fashion by being the color commentator. He's also been the spokesman for him at times when there was, times when boxing officials or not officials, but promoters would come out, against the UFC because, the UFC was taking money out of their, pay-per-view buys and stuff. And so they started to try to attack it. It was always Joe Rogan that would be the guy that would be put on TV to counter what they said because he's very smart. He's eloquent many times with the way he will say something. And that's based upon him just being a smart motherfucker. He is smart. Okay. You may not like him. You may not like his politics. Okay. But I'm telling you right now, the guy was way, way far of center to the left. It's yes, all of the, is he not? Let's just be honest. Okay. But everyone says he is a right winger. You are nuts, okay? I'm just telling you straight out from someone that kind of knows him a little bit. Not even close. He's all for all these things, gay rights, all this stuff. But because he says he doesn't want to see a transgender person fight in MMA against a female who hasn't, been had to, take a lot of time in changing over, that's him just being smart. That's him just actually looking and saying, science tells me that a man has an advantage over a woman. That's why we have women's sports. And I don't want to see someone come in and ruin women's sports. Okay. There has to be something that's set up so that doesn't happen. But that makes him a right winger. Look, if you don't like Joe, then you don't like Joe. That's okay. If you don't like me, you don't like me. That's okay. I really don't give a shit. Okay. I know Josh. No, let's be honest. I don't care. Okay, you like me? Thank you very much. I like everyone. I don't sit there and say bad things about anyone, really. I try to be honest about things. But I will tell you this, Joe Rogan has been phenomenal for the UFC. He's been phenomenal for the sport of MMA because he's not just a UFC guy. He's an MMA guy. He's a fight guy. And he has helped fighters. He has helped more guys create careers and do things that have helped them outside of fighting. You can't ask for a better guy. And the fact that, what DC is saying is, you know what? I'm honored to sit next to him. Everyone. Josh would have a ball sitting next to him doing a fight. I would have a ball sitting next to him doing a fight. There's people that are going to like what Joe does. There's people that are not. Okay. There's people that like what Bisping does. There's people that don't. There's people that like what Cormier does. There's people that don't. Yep. There's people that like what John McCarthy does, and there's people that don't. And there's definitely a lot of people that don't like what Josh Thompson does. Oh, well.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it right. It's like, look, you have to understand there's a little bit of the Joe Rogan effect.
There's a big Joe Rogan effect. When
fighters go on his show, there's a big, like I was trying to be modest about it. There's a big Joe Rogan effect. Chael's been on his show. Misha Tate's been on his show. All these TJ, everyone's been on his damn show. And you've been on his show. I was blessed enough to go on the show. He's someone you can sit down and you're like, next thing you know, 3 hours has gone by. But all he's talked about is you as a person. He doesn't try to shift the argument to him about his life and the things that he's doing. It's all about you in that moment. And he is trying to help grow. Doesn't matter who you are. He's trying to help grow whatever it is you're working on. He wants to be a positive influence on what you're doing. And that right there helps every single fighter that's been lucky enough to go on his show. Yep. And that's what's really disturbing. People don't realize the good he's doing because, he said this or he's done that or he has such a big influence. Yeah, he has influence in a positive way as well. You're just mad because it doesn't align with what you want to hear, whatever he's talking about at that moment. It drives me crazy because he's very public about the fact that he's actually more left-leaning and the fact that now everyone's considering him to be some right-wing conspiracy nut job.
The greatest thing
and
ever.
I'm just like, you guys, if you guys not have listened to any of his shit, because one time he said something that didn't align with your agenda going this way.
Exactly.
And what also is, it really is crazy because this is really that team mentality that he talks about all the time, is that you really feel like the need to stick up for your team instead of just being like, hey, you know what? Let the guy make his own decisions and I'll make my own decisions. And whoever else, even if they're on my team, they're going to make their own damn decisions, and that's like the biggest issue I think we're having here. Stop trying to bully people into making decisions that don't agree with you. Like, live your own damn life and worry about yourself and take care of whatever it is you're doing. And that's what's really frustrating, I think, during this, when I'm reading that article and I'm like, what are you talking about? You're talking about someone who, like I said, does podcasts, is a comedian on the weekends and, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever it is, sometimes on Sunday. He's traveling around the world with one of the couple of the biggest, not like 5 or 6, 10 of the biggest comedians in the world. He's got life. He's got his own family as well, which he likes to keep private, but he's got his own family. He's got kids. He's got a life to worry about as well. And the fact that he does all the stuff he does for the UFC and the fighters and talking about always positive talk about them is impressive. And when you have someone that comes in and this clickbait journalism, it's just bullshit. Like, leave the guy alone because he doesn't agree. You don't agree with what he says on his show is ridiculous, especially as of lately. And that's what's really frustrating, I think, for a lot of people.
I think one of the greatest things about him is he brings in both sides and listens
absolutely
to both sides, because how else are you going to learn what's right and what's wrong if you don't listen to both sides? That's the hardest part, John. People, when you were listening to something, like I wasn't a Bernie Sanders fan, but I listened to the Bernie Sanders one that he did. I was never a Bernie Sanders fan, but I listened to it because Joe had actually said something about he was thinking about voting for him, or he was going to vote for him during the whole first time that he was running. Yeah. And that whole situation, and there was other people that he had on there. I wasn't a Tulsi Gabbard fan either, but then when I listened to her, I actually started to lean towards, like, I liked what she said. Yep. You have to listen to both sides. And whoever else he's had on, like there's been actors, been other people that he's had on that I was like, I don't know about that. And then I listened to them, like, okay, now you have put it in ways
that have made me start thinking though, okay, I can see where you're coming from in that area, whatever it is that they were talking about.
Yeah, and even if you don't
gotta open your
agree,
mind.
at least you can understand the way that they're viewing it and why they're saying what they're saying.
Yeah, because we don't know everything.
So all
Despite
we're
what we
saying
may
is
think.
be more open.
Yeah, be more open-minded about stuff.
Crazy.
All right, next.
The next story is more information coming out in the Jon Jones
Okay, here.
situation.
We're in trouble.
No, we're not. No, we're not. We're not in trouble, John. John,
I love
go ahead,
it.
Dave. Look, the report was released on what happened. Okay,
Yeah.
and you and I, we decided.
Last time we said we don't have enough information, and I have no idea how you injure a car.
Yeah,
Well,
and
now
so
I know
realistically,
in their report.
yeah, now you know, and so now realistically, we had no comment on it at first. I got on Dana separately because Dana likes to kowtow to his talent when they're younger and they're bringing in a ton of money. He hasn't fought in over a year, and he's struggling to get the contract signed. So I said that's why Dana was ragging on him. I had nothing to do with what he did because we didn't know what he did yet. We hadn't.
No.
Now allow me to introduce myself. Okay, this is bullshit. What he
Allow me to interject.
Yes, it's bullshit what he did, and he came out with some shitty ass comment about like, oh, I'm gonna stop drinking. It makes me a different person, bro. You just gotta stop. You just gotta stop doing everything. Let's not pretend that it was just alcohol. Okay. Like you're in Vegas, there was a thing that came out and said, what, like 10, I'm gonna tell my wife to take 10 grand, go to the strip
10,000 to go to the strip club. That's 10,000 for the strip club. Okay, man.
I don't get it. But look, I don't get it. You have 3 beautiful daughters and
You're blowing.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
You're blowing.
Yeah, I'm like, despite whether I believe what Dana said is right, but I still believe Dana's only doing that. Dana will stay out of it if there's something going on that was someone that he really wants to keep trying to work with.
It all comes down to this.
Yeah.
Very simple. If your young daughter is asking people to call the police because she's afraid of you and what you're doing,
Ooh.
you got a problem.
Yeah. It sucks.
There you go.
Oh,
All right, let's lighten the mood a little bit here. Josh wanted to review this knockout.
I saw this
video.
one.
I said this shit to
Josh
John.
sent me
John's
this one.
like,
I'll put a link below.
Oh, that's a
for
bad
you
one.
guys.
yeah, it's one of the nastiest knockouts. And it's like in a bare knuckle boxing type match where they just got tape over their hands. It's not like in the BKB or
Bare knuckle
BKFC.
boxing with hay bales.
Yeah, it's surrounded by hair bells, and it looks like they've got like wrestling mats or something below it.
Yeah.
Unless they just painted the concrete black, it could be it as well.
So you people, if Dave, do you get to let people see this?
According to Josh, Mr. Josh over here.
Well, if it's only like 6 seconds, right?
yeah,
Boom.
I think it's fine.
Okay. So when you're seeing this guy and he hits the ground, he's out, and then you see his arms coming up. That's him, what we call posturing. He's we talk about posturing and jiu-jitsu, completely different.
Ugh.
This is his brain seizing, and his body is in a seizure, and his arms are going out and posturing based upon, which is telling you that he has a severe concussion. He's got a big problem with what occurred. He got racked. So this is the signs when you see any fighter and you see this and you see their arms straighten out and their fingers are straight or their toes are curled. That's called posturing, and that's telling you that his body's actually in a seizure. His brain is the same as you'll get an epileptic fit. You get the seizures. You're having the same type of thing.
Dave, you keep talking back to me, buddy. That's what you're gonna look like. Dave,
This is the position you're going to be in. The dying
It's crazy.
cockroach right there.
Yeah,
So
that was
that's
just
your position.
his knees came up, his hands went straight. He's reaching for the sky. Doesn't know. He
Yeah.
has no idea what the fuck is going on right now.
He doesn't know his first name right there.
It's a Tuesday
Jeez,
morning for
man.
Josh, isn't it?
What's that?
So that's a Tuesday morning for you.
It's a Tuesday morning for you.
Tuesday morning for me. It's Sunday mornings normally. I wake up
Woo!
early.
That's a really
Oh,
bad
shit.
Sunday morning.
That's a bad Sunday.
I love it.
All right. Is there anything else, Dave?
Yep, we got two last pieces. One is just the number of weight misses at the UFC this past weekend. And so we had Aspen Ladd come in at was it 2 pounds over?
Well, it's 2 pounds over, but it's only 1 pound
One
over
pound.
for the official
She
weigh-in.
she would have been officially okay at 136, but she came in at 137.
Betch came in at 2.5 over, and then Mike Breeden also came in at 2.5 over.
Okay. I mean, we don't know what the situation and scenarios are in terms of them making weight. Like, did they have a heart? Like, were they dealing with the injury? Were they able to run? I think Betch announcing her retirement, I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that, like, look, it's my last fight. You know, like, it's just too much more of a struggle than I want it to be. But then Aspen Ladd, she said, you know, this is what females go through. I got my period a couple of days ago, and this is what I gotta have to deal with. And it's unfortunate, but it's true.
It's
you
true.
know, females retain water if they happen to have their period during that time. Now, I also believe that the conversation should be like, normally women are on a schedule. Like, they kind of have an idea of when they're going to get their period. And so knowing that, you should try to, but then that may change though too, depending on how much they work their body throughout their camp. Does it change or fluctuate? But if you know it's normally around that time, maybe try not to schedule fights around that time. That's the best that I can suggest.
The best that you can do.
Yeah. You know, other than that, there's really not much to talk about. It's unfortunate because she's missed weight. She's struggled to make weight several times, you know, and so she's going to have to figure something out.
All right, this last piece is the announcement of Sean O'Malley versus Rallian Paiva at UFC 269 in December.
Paiva. Yeah, I mean, talk to me, John.
It's you know, you're looking and it's like, it's a good fight. I'm happy with that one. I think it's a good matchup for Sean. It's, you know, they're not giving him the person like we kind of talked about, saying they're going to feed him someone in that top 10 then, because he's saying he might, you know, look to go somewhere else. They're not doing that, but they're putting him against a real deal in Paiva.
He's got 2 fights left.
Yeah.
So this one and one more. So we can wait for after this one. If he looks good.
See, that's a reasonable fight for him right now.
Yeah.
It's a good fight.
Yeah.
It's a quality matchup for him. That's someone of his level. Let's see how he does.
Yeah.
I think he's the one that I'll give Paiva. It's got power, but not that technically smooth in the way that he'll put that power out. So we'll see if Sean handles it well.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. Yeah. Good stuff. I mean, like I said, like we won't know until you get closer to the actual his last fight on his contract. They'll drag him out as long as they can.
Yeah,
so we'll see. We'll see how they work. We'll go. All right, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/weighing in. Use promo code ANDSTILL and pick up one of our shirts that are available there. We have all these cool designs, and we need to get some more designs here coming soon. So I just know that. But
we need some more
t-shirts
stuff.
are all available in different colors as well. So we've got black, blue, red, green, light gray, maroon.
Oh, Dave, I was told by one of our English fans, why do you not have a 5X shirt? He said, because we'd only have one person buying them. You.
Well, what they can do is they can buy 2 XXL and then just cut them and stitch them together.
Yeah, that might make it.
What a jerk. All right, guys. Well, hey, hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. We had a great time. We were a little tired, a little jet lag, and felt
just
good, though.
Little?
I think just a little, you know, and it was a great weekend of fights, I think, for both promotions, and we had a great time, man. I love the London crowds. I love the London people. I love being in London. We go to Phoenix next week. Is it not next week?
Next week, 2 weeks.
After.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we go to Phoenix. We'll be there for the Bellator Light Heavyweight World Grand Prix semifinals. So that'll be fun. Baby. And cannot wait for that. And John, what else you got?
After that, a little bit of Russia stuff, then a little bit of Ireland stuff. A lot of good stuff coming up. Next week coming up, you got Mackenzie Dern against Marina Rodriguez. That should be a really good fight. It's going to be fun to watch. So for everyone out there, all the people in London, England, you guys were fantastic. Thank you for all the people coming up and telling me and Josh, you listen to us, you're enjoying us, because we enjoy you guys. So thank you very much. And for everyone else out there, hope you enjoyed, and we will see you.